Once upon a time, if you wanted to be a model, you had to have good genes. In fact, great genes. But in modern 2025, all you need to do is have a good prompt. Yes, we've been hearing that AI is coming for our jobs. Very soon some people will not have jobs any longer. But the vim with which it is creeping into the fashion and modeling industry is a bit alarming. This week, the internet was in an uproar because Vogue Magazine featured an AI-generated model. When they said, girlies, go and sleep, they decided to use AI to generate a woman and feature it in a magazine. Hey, we are in very interesting times. So, of course, like we always do here on This Week in News, let's quickly look at these stories and some others that happened here in Ghana. I am Etonam Kumashi. In recent times, journalists have been under attack. You may have heard this week of the GHOne news reporter who was physically assaulted by some armed military officials. A couple of weeks ago, even here at EIB, one of our reporters was, physically abused by a police officer during the Ablekuma North election rerun. Now, the President Mahama, has said that he is not going to be in charge of an administration that physically abuses journalists and interferes with their work. And so certain measures are going to be put in place. He has called for investigations and has said that the perpetrators should be brought to book. Even before that, he is calling for a meeting where, the head of the security officials and then the head of GHOne will come together, have some form of orientation so that they understand that they are supposed to partner and not be enemies.
I've instructed that the incident be thoroughly investigated and that the officers involved be sanctioned accordingly.
We've had some accountability series this week, so I will just go through a few of them. Now, the Attorney General said, contrary to speculations out there that, there's always someone being brought in for questioning, there's always someone who is being investigated, but there is no proper prosecution. He said, look, we are really working hard and we are really working fast. But he says that he will not go to court without sufficient evidence. This is what he had to say.
So by this time in 2017, had they convicted anybody? They are the ones who are leading this narrative that there is a delay in oral just to give us, a sense of desperation and, make us look bad. Look, when we file our charges. Within 2 weeks, we file our witness statements and supporting documents. That is a record. In the Atufosin case, it took 6 months to file witness statements. You can go back and check. 6 months to file just witness statements. We file within 2 weeks. Okay? That should tell you how hard we are working and how diligent we are with our investigations. That is why I told Ghanaians that I will never go to court, okay, and file charges against anybody to persecute the person without evidence. I will never do that. And so there is no delay whatsoever. We are going at a very supersonic speed as far as oral is concerned. Now, also remember that, okay, conviction depends, on the judge, on the court. If I send the matter to court, I cannot be the one determining when the person is convicted. And so it will be, if I were laid back, allowing for long adjournments, not being serious with the cases and so on, then you can accuse me of delay. However, if I'm doing everything possible to ensure that there's speed and efficiency in the prosecution, okay, how can you blame me that there is delay in the execution of oral?
And of course, the Minister for Roads has also sent out a warning to contractors. He says, look, if you're given a contract, if you are asked to construct a road and you don't do it properly, in 6 months we are seeing potholes and saying things, listen, you will really pay for it. A word to the wise is enough.
Let me sound this warning. From now, when you are a contractor, you do work, and the work fails without explanation, we shall cash the bond. We shall cash the bond to use to restore the road. If you are a consultant, before you get work at the Ministry of Roads and Highways from now, you will need to buy professional indemnity insurance. Because if you supervise work that fails without any explanation, we will draw down on your insurance cover to make sure we cover the damages that you have caused. So this is a very clear message to contractors and consultants. We are no longer going to tolerate shoddy work under any circumstances.
Now, the Black Queens performed exceptionally well at the just-ended West African Cup of Nations, and they paid a courtesy call to the president and the vice president. During the meeting, the president hailed them, their resilience and their performance, and says, look, as far as he is concerned and as far as his government is concerned, Ghanaian athletes will be given as much support as they need. Imagine the shock on people's faces when they saw an AI-generated model in a Vogue magazine. Now listen, there has always been discussion about how women are being compared to women. They always have to deal with unrealistic beauty standards. And now to have an AI-generated woman in a magazine, it's just a bit too much. Some people had some sentiments about this, and this is what they had to say.
Screaming, crying, and throwing up that Vogue used AI models because women cannot catch a break. First, we are compared to each other wearing makeup. Then we're compared to each other with plastic surgery, fillers, whatever. Then we're compared to each other with filters. And now we're just going to be compared to AI?
I don't want anyone to call me on the phone.
BBC wrote an article and included quotes from the founders of the company who made the AI models. It's the first time an AI-generated person has ever featured in Vogue magazine. Seraphine Valora is the name of the company, and they were asked by Guess's co-founder to generate AI models for their campaign. The founders, Valentina and Andrea, went ahead and created 10 models, but they were then asked to further develop just 2, one brunette and one blonde. But when challenged on why they were reinforcing narrow beauty standards, they said they were just doing what fashion has always done, essentially just platforming white and skinny women.
So essentially, the magazine said, look, we are not trying to replace women. We are only trying to complement. Is this for, cheaper reasons, or they are just trying to bring in some form of diversity? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. By the way, last week, veteran musician Daddy Lumba passed, and on Saturday, his vigil will be held. It will be broadcasted here at GHOne television. There are more stories on starfm.com.gh as well as all our social media platforms. Once again, I am Etonam Kumashi. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend.